Hello, so today is going to be a warrior game. So a little bit of variance, a little bit of something maybe more fun, a little bit different. This is a bit of a wacky game. I felt like it was a very difficult game for like my early slash mid game. I wasn't really sure what to do. And then I kind of stumbled upon a warrior emblem and then just played towards 6 warriors. 6 warriors is very strong. It's just very awkward to play sometimes. Whenever you're thinking about melee units, when we're talking about the warrior trait, we're just all the units are basically melee units, meaning that they're going to be in the front line, so your damage dealers are also your front line units. As a result, they're going to be taking a lot of damage. So the warrior comp is very like hit or miss. They have really good ability to like dive the back line, execute or kill the backline unit so that like the DPS of your opponent just like goes down to nothing. They're very strong at like cheesing kind of and like winning fights really well. But the biggest problem that you can run into when you're playing around warriors is that if you don't get upgrades for them, you can just go 8th really easily. It's very temperamental. Like if you don't get Fiora 2, Gwen 2, or like a Katarina 2, like if you don't get enough upgrades, because they're in the front line, they're taking a bunch of damage. They just die instantly. So I tend to not enjoy it that much in the current meta because like if you think about if there's like a Kalista Rakan player and you don't have upgrades, you can't chew through the Rakan and then they just die. If you play against a like a Viger Vex combo, it's usually pretty bad as well. There's a lot of situations where you run into spots where it might be a little bit more stressful. So we'll see how it goes this game. This is a game I played today, so it's very vivid in my mind, so I'm really ready to see what things I did right, what things I did wrong. First things first, you'll see that I take a movable object here. I don't really like this opener because I don't have much direction. I don't have a strong like sense of units. I don't have any components to play towards Kalista, right? I don't have a bow. I don't have a gargoyle. My components are really bad if you look at them in a vacuum to say that this is just a quote-unquote Kalista game. And that's usually the default I go to if I don't have a opener that I feel very comfortable with. And as you can see, it's also a pretty poor opener, like a pretty low econ opener. Like I'd have to sell a lot of units here. I do have a lot of 2 costs on my board, but in general, like the econ is quite low right now, so it's gonna be hard to make those econ intervals in the next couple of turns. So I'm basically playing this round. I think this is probably going to be like some sort of lose streak into something else. Like I said, I'm not committed towards warriors just yet. My items do work out to be really good like melee items, so I could play around this Akali with a movable object. Movable object is really good on certain comps. It's really good with Kalista, for example. It's really good with melee comps especially. It's just that giving your team a whole bunch of armor just helps with that tankiness, so it helps with the units being really strong. It's not very good with like Bastion style comps, but comps that use a lot of vanguards or use a lot of shapeshifters. It gives them like the other components of being a good tank in addition to like HP and durability. You get like a huge amount of tankiness from the armor and MR that you're missing. So if we look at this, there's an Akali in shop. I might be able to hold it. I'm trying to hold on to some of these multi-striker units because maybe I commit towards like a multi-striker reroll. I'm not entirely sure just yet. I should probably buy the Akali pair. If I don't buy the Akali pair, it's just because I'm streaming and I missed it. I was probably talking to a streamer, doing something else. It looks like I'm probably gonna miss it. That's not very good. I'm debating to make econ here. I think that's the problem. I didn't want to buy it because I wanted to make econ this turn. Because I feel like I'm pretty poor, and if I'm going to be playing around a flexible board or a 4-cost board, I don't know what I'm playing. I'd rather have econ than commit to reroll. Yeah, so I won this round. I should sell everything. I can sell and make econ here. I think I was a bit slow. This round was probably just like a streaming round. That's my bad. Yeah, and then as you can see, I don't think it goes through if you sell it after the screen changes, so I think I lost my 1 gold there for not selling the Nomsy at the last second. But it's fine. It's okay. Now that I won a round, I can buy the Nyla, and I could play like this type of little mid-game board. I'm probably going to want to slam items here. Because if you win a round, you're not like fully lose streaking, so at that point you might as well just like be killing units to save HP. There's no reason to like purposely sack anymore because I already broke my streak. So I'm prepping my items to slam, and I think I'm just looking. Yeah, I should just slam items here. Slamming items, I probably win this fight actually because this person doesn't really have any damage. This Cassio is not going to do any work for a while. And I have a movable object. Move Aldrich is a lot better late game typically, but if you have it early game, you should be really strong. Yeah, I'm just going to slam items and try and win streak a little bit here, get some gold. Yeah, that makes sense. Anyways, let me just go through the board now. If you like my content, make sure to like and subscribe. I always forget to say that. I never made like a new video for this set. But if you go through the stats, it did get slightly adjusted. Like 6 Warrior got nerfed and some of the Warrior units got nerfed. As you can see, 6 Warrior, it averages like okay, right? It has like around a 50% top 4 rate. It is pretty good. The main problem is that it's a very expensive board a lot of the time. When you're playing Warriors, there's basically 2 ways you can go about it. You can play 6 Warrior, you can play 4 Warrior. 4 Warrior is pretty shit. I'm not gonna lie. Usually, if you're playing 4 Warrior, you should either be playing 2 Warrior and playing like a Chrono board, or if you're playing Warrior, you try and play 6 Warrior with an emblem. When you're playing 6 Warrior, these are the 5 Warrior units that you have. Who holds a Warrior emblem is typically very good. There's a lot of different options, excuse me, of who can hold a Warrior emblem. The most often thing that you end up playing is Preservers with Warriors, because it just synergizes really well with the rest of your board. So your board ends up looking something like this. Obviously, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 units. So it's going to be a little bit difficult to fit in this board until you make it to a higher level. But typically, you'll just stack vertical preservers because you're trying to give your whole team a lot of tankiness. Morgana synergizes really well with the Fiora to give the Fiora the preserver, and then Witchcraft and Preserver, and then the Bard synergizes with the Gwen, and typically you're going for like Gwen and Fiora itemized. In terms of items, they're usually pretty flexible. You get a lot of Omnivamp from Warriors, so it's not surprising if you decide to just go like no Omnivamp on certain units, but Gwen likes to cast a bunch in order to scale up her snips. So a lot of times you're making AP items, or you're putting a blue buff on her because it's just one of her best items. If you're making general items, a lot of times like I like stuff like just making like kind of like semi-tanky items like Crown Guard, Spark, like something like that. But a lot of people, they like to put like the pairing of Jewel Gauntlet with Hodge, because they're both items that use a glove, so it stockpiles on the crit chance. So it's a really good item pair to put those 2 items on the Gwen. Katarina works the same way. A lot of times you'll see people just put Jewel Gauntlet Hodge. And then Fiora, I think it's usually like Sterix, Bloodthirster, or +1. Like tanky items are good, Edge of Night is good, things like that. And if you're playing around Akali, Edge of Night is obviously really good on Akali, and a lot of times you just want like pure damage, so something like IE Hodge is pretty good. But like I said, any frontline-ish items like Titans, Sterix, like Crown Guard, like anything that's like a decent like frontline item that's also a damage item is going to be good on most of these units. So you're pretty flexible with the items because you're going to have so much damage from 5 Warrior. And then in terms of 5 Warrior, a lot of times you will just put it on Morgana in a lot of these cases. Now, there is a lot of flexibility. This is just saying like the Preserver variation. If you're not playing around Preservers, you can play very easily. You can play something like a Nasus and a Briar, right? And then you could Warrior Briar, which is really strong, and then itemize Briar and play around that. If you're not playing Shapeshifters, you can also play towards Bastions and Arcana. So you can play Diana with Hecarim, right? Because Hecarim also gives multi-striker. If you're playing around Akali, typically you're playing this type of variation. Then you can Warrior Emblem your Diana, and the Diana can do a bunch of damage. Or you can even Warrior Emblem the Hecarim, and the Hecarim can do a bunch of damage. But there's many different variations. One of the highest cap versions is playing Arcana as well. So Arcana, basically what it gives you, a lot of times, like, just getting the extra durability and attack damage from the Hecarim is really, really strong, because it helps with the idea of giving them more damage and making your units very tanky. You can also go for Xerath Charm, which Xerath will give you the bonus true damage for charms. So Arcana usually does really, really well in the stats. And then there's some, like, awkward variations, which are hard to, like, explain. But there's, like, a variation that's similar to, like, I think this one needs 2 Warrior Emblems, but I think this is like the highest cap one. But you play something weird like this, and then typically you'll play like 1 or 2 other units. This is more of like a 4 Warrior variation, by the way. But basically what you're doing is you stack in Arcana with 4 Warriors, and you go for Tom Kench Arcana buff, which gives everybody a bunch of HP, and then you play Milio Bard as a pairing. This one's a little bit more niche, so I wouldn't recommend going for this one all the time. This is more of a 4 Warrior variation. that used to be like the go-to, but then things got nerfed and jumbled around, so it's not as good anymore. But either way, you're pretty flexible once you have the warriors, because the warriors do everything for you. They act primarily as your front line, and they also do most of your damage. So just playing around these 5 units and then just throwing in some general trait, either Preservers or Arcana, you'll be fine. And then you just have to have somebody to hold the warrior emblem, and you're good to go. So that's basically your game plan. It's very flexible, but it's very expensive. It's very unlikely, like I said before, because they're your frontline units. If you just have Gwen Fiora, excuse me, if you just have Gwen Fiora, they can sometimes just die instantly. Here, as you can see, I'm slamming items to itemize towards Gwen or Katarina. I'm very broke right now. It's just the way that it worked out. I didn't particularly win or lose streak. It's a prismatic lobby. For some reason, everybody seems relatively poor. It seems like a little bit of a low gold galaxy. For example, this guy with prismatic ticket, he doesn't have any like major upgrades, but as you can see, he is he's like level 5, 40 gold. He's like a little bit more poor than I am. And he has Tiniest Titan, which gave him a bunch of gold in the first place. Obviously, he rolled for like Soraka Seraphine a little bit, but I'm just trying to like explain to you guys, like looking at the lobby, everybody's a little bit poor. It's just the way the galaxy kind of worked out. I guess we just didn't get a lot of gold drop via Krugs and via the opener. So this is not necessarily the greatest thing. I think my spot is horrendous here. When I was on stream, I'm like, I'm probably going bot 4 for sure. I need to high roll really, really hard. Because if you look at the board, there's people that, like, there's a guy that took Worth the Wait, has an RE3. There's a guy that's playing towards Vertical Arcana here. This guy's going to be extremely strong late game. You have another guy who already has a Rise. The thing is, like, when other people hit really strong boards, with warriors, if they're not upgraded and they don't have enough HP and defensive stats in order to like actually survive hits, they just die before they actually do any damage. Now, of course, there is ways to like cheese. There's ways to like, you know, you get the Fiora to dive the backline, then the Fiora kills the carry, and then you pop off that way. There's obviously things like that that can go really well for warriors, but I generally don't like to play them in the current meta because there's too many comps where you just die and you just go bot 4 for free. Like, for example, like Shapeshifter, sometimes you just get stuck on the front line. Unkillable Vex, you just get stuck on the Vex, and the Vigra just, like, goes through your whole board and deletes them all. Callista, sometimes you get stuck on Rakan, and then Callista ramps up and just kills everybody. So it's a little bit awkward sometimes. I wouldn't recommend playing it unless you have a really good spot for it. Here, I felt like this was my only option. So the second augment that I took was a Warrior Crest. There wasn't really anything else I can take. Playing towards 6 warrior is definitely a little bit better than playing with no direction and just like hoping to like wing it with a karma board. I think the warrior karma board is definitely like a little bit harder to hit than just like 6 warriors in general. 6 warriors, you have a couple outs as well. You can hit Nyla 3, Akali 3, and Katarina 3. I wouldn't recommend dedicating yourself to the reroll, but especially if your lobby is rerolling, a lot of times you can hit Katarina 3 pretty easily. Just because like if everybody's buying Viger and Vexes and everybody's buying like our other units, like if a lot of 3 costs are getting removed from the pool, even if you make it to level 8, you don't have to roll on like level 7 for Katarina. You can just hit Katarina 3 on level 8 a lot of the time, and it is pretty good. Here I use my remover. I'm trying to itemize towards this Fiora, so I make Sterix, which I think is good. Edge of Night just gives her a little bit of a second lease at life because she's a 1-star, so she won't die instantly, and I made the Edge of Night early in the game, and Hodge to give her some healing. Now, of course, Bloodthirster I think is a lot better of an item than Hodge, but in this case, I'm just trying to do as much damage as possible. I'm trying to like stabilize a little bit. My board is this is what I mean by like the board, they just like dive the backline and die. You saw my Fiora just kind of like ran in. Ari just deleted her because it's an RE3. That happens quite often when they're 1-starred. Of course, once you hit 6 warrior, you're gonna have so much extra damage because of 6 warrior that you get like the huge amount of damage amp that it's actually gonna be like fairly decent. It's gonna work out to be pretty strong. Here I just put in Bastion. Bastion's a little bit of a bait here. I already have a movable object with the Randuin, so I'm probably fine with armor and MR. My whole team has a bunch of armor and MR. But I just want to sell the I want to sell the unit so that I could I want to sell the Jack so I can move the Hodge onto the Katarina. So now I have double item Katarina, which is gonna be a lot stronger, and I might actually like win a couple of these fights. I'm kind of free falling with the HP. right? I'm going to be very low HP in a triple prismatic lobby. A lot of people look like they have really strong win cons. This guy has a Fiora already. He's level 8, like going long. So that's really scary. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know how good going long is. I haven't checked in the stats. I think it's still pretty bad. So this guy's just trying to play going long and go level 9 and try and play towards like the shapeshifter, the 8 shapeshifter smolder variation. But as you can see here, this is what I mean. If you have Edge of Night, you have a little bit of a Lisa on life. Once your board's like a little bit more tanky, you can actually get a lot of cheesy kills, right? The Fiora just kind of executed a lot of the main carries. I basically deleted the backline. If you look at how broke we are very broke. Like, it's not like a little bit broke. We are incredibly broke. So if you look at our money, it's not a matter of not making econ intervals either. It's not like I rolled and I upgraded a bunch of units. I feel like from the start of the game, it was just very low. Like, besides me full selling everything on stage 2 to establish my econ on stage 2, like I held a couple of ashes, for example, like stuff like that. It was probably like it's just really bad, the econ situation here. So we're actually not gonna, like, usually you want to 4-1 or 4-2 it, because you're trying to level on 4-2 and then roll down your gold and then hit to match the spiking that everybody else is doing in the lobby. At this point in time, I do not think I have enough gold. Being level 4-1, level 750 gold, I'm probably not going to be able to 4-2 it. So we're actually going to go for a 4-5 this game. What I mean by that is we're going to level 8 on 4-5. Just because I have so little money that I think that it's better off if I just roll later. Now, there are 1 or 2 people that look like they're playing towards like a Karma, Gwen, Fiora type situation. So it's a little bit scary to 4-5 it because, you know, they might just buy all the Gwens and the Fioras, right? There's a guy that's trying to tempo shapeshifters and he's holding on to a Fiora right now. So it's a little bit scary. We do have a lot of damage, right? If other boards are incomplete, right? Everything that I was talking about with like them being not super tanky, if they're 1-star and sometimes they just die too fast. The main thing you have to understand is that if the enemy board doesn't have like a Giga Tank, they don't have a 3-star, they don't have something really strong, then the Warriors will do fine for stage 4. Right, as soon as you hit 4 Warrior Fiora, she will delete a bunch of units because if they're all 1-starred, then it's 1-star versus 1-star. The tankiness doesn't matter. Like, it's the same playing field. Here I checked the stats actually. Now, Spellcaster's Toolbox, if you don't know, this is the best augment you can ever hit for Gwen. Gwen in particular. Gwen really loves Manazane because Manazane obviously is going to make Gwen, what's it called? It's going to make her cast a bunch. The way Gwen works is the more time she casts in a singular fight, the more time she gets, like, she stacks up snips. And then those snips basically equate to her doing more damage, right? Every cast she gets like an extra snip or something like along those lines. So Manazane is really strong because as soon as Manazane procs, it sets you up that you get a bunch of snips really early. So it just like spikes Gwen's damage by a lot. Instead of waiting for her to cast and ramp up, you immediately start by ramping her up with getting like a couple consecutive snips. And then after those consecutive snips, then she could actually like do work for your team, which is really, really great. That's a really great thing to have. And then Zhonya's is like a better Edge of Night. Zhonya's is amazing on melee AP units. It's even good on regular melee units, right? Just regular ass, like, it's good on Fiora. It's good on, they don't have to be an AP unit, but it's generally just very, very strong. It gives you a bunch of really good stats. It gives you defensive stats, gives you a bunch of AP, so it's really good on Gwen, really good on Katarina. And it also de-aggros, right? If you drop below a certain amount of health, you basically, everybody stops targeting you. So it's amazing. It's one of the best items ever. So Spellcaster's Toolbox, even though it seems like it might be something you take when you're playing like a Rise or a Vigor or something like that, it's actually like best in slot for Gwen. It's one of the best things that you can hit. It fully itemizes Gwen, and you just put those items on her and you're good to go. Like I said, if you're playing 6 Warrior, you don't often have to lean into, what's it called? You don't have to lean into, like, getting healing items on all your units, right? You don't, like, when you're a 6 Warrior, like 4 Warrior maybe, 2 Warrior definitely, but 6 Warrior, they have 25% Omnivamp. It's quite substantial, so sometimes you might just be better off making full damage just to make sure like you're 1-shotting or 2-shotting units instead of like trying to have like this build of sustain. But it works out really well. So we're actually winning most of these fights in stage 4. I wasn't expecting this because a lot of times when I was scouting and I saw a lot of those like really strong boards, I haven't fought any of them. All the boards that I'm fighting have people that have unupgraded units, are generally pretty weak. They didn't really hit very hard on their roll down. That might also be because I think, like, obviously, like, maybe I mismanaged my econ, but looking around when I was scouting, it seemed like everybody didn't have a lot of econ. So I think, like, you know, the people that are really rich, that like that were win streaking early and like are really, really far ahead, they're gonna be like level 9. But there's like a lot of people that were either still level 8 or like rolling a lot of gold on level 8. So here we're just setting up our roll down. We still don't have that much money, by the way, but we're just gonna be looking we're just gonna be looking here for Gwen primarily, and we find Gwen, so perfect. So now we can play Gwen. We're 6 warrior. I took Titans here. I'm down to just like play around Titans. Titans isn't the greatest item, in my opinion. It just doesn't give that many stats. I don't even think it's that good on Gwen, but I'm basically just gonna do Manazane, Zhonya's, and Titans give some sort of like tankiness as well as giving a little bit of AP and AD. So I'm kind of down to just run it like that. Here this guy's playing Scholars. He's level 8, 50 gold. So this guy just didn't send it yet. He's trying to fast 9 it. So he was a lot richer than me. This was one of the guys that was really strong early game. He could have easily rolled down and hit Rise 2 and like actually beat me, I think. But instead, he's greeting to go 9, so I actually benefit from fighting him now. I get my Zhonya's. I'm going to sell this Ashe. I don't really need Ashe. Like, I have Multi-Striker in here because, like, whatever. But it's not that important. So I'm actually winning a lot of these fights, which is really great. I could pivot into Preservers eventually. I'm probably just going to play Arcana. I put in a Multi-Striker because, like, I don't really have anybody else to put in. I could put in, like, the Varus Nasus to get Pyro, but I'm not too concerned about that. Eventually, I want to switch my items off of this Katarina. The Randuin's is a great item, but there's no reason for it to be on the Katarina. I would like a 3rd Katarina item. Like I said before, Preservers would be really good. One thing that's a problem that might show up late game that I would like to point out. I wasn't paying attention because I was so hell-bent on finding a Gwen with all of my gold, and I was really poor. But not having Sugarcraft in is pretty bad here, because my Gwen might not, like you know, a lot of late game Gwen carries is because she stacks up that Sugarcraft really nicely, and then she gets like a bunch of bonus stats of AD and AP. So it's a little bit scary that I don't have Sugarcraft in. That's why typically you play towards the Preserver line, because you basically get the free Sugarcraft that way. There's a bard in my shop, and I'm not buying it. I think I'm just so stressed. I'm so stressed because of just the whole situation of this game. And here's another huge mistake. I had to use my remover on the Katarina. So I'm just fumbling these rounds. This was like towards the end of the stream as well, so I was a little bit tired. Of course I'm making excuses, but I'll explain that these things are probably the reason that I don't I still top 4 this game. But this round especially is part of the reason why things become really hard later in the game. So the first thing is, when you use a remover, I'm just going to pause it for a second. You use a remover every time at the start of neutral rounds, because right now in the game, if you use a remover and you don't have one on your bench, the game will give you a new one. So the game will always give you a new remover. So if I use the remover, I can remove these items off the Katarina, and then I'll get another remover, which I can then use to fix up the items on another one of my units. Right now, I would love to fix up my Gwen items and my Katarina items. Like, I can move that Titans onto a more useless unit and then have a really good 3rd Gwen item. Or I can move the Randuins off the Katarina, and then I can have a really good 3rd Katarina item. Right? These are things that I would really like to do, but it's hard to do with one remover, because then you have to wait all the way till the next fucking neutral round to get another remover. So I really screwed it up here. Now I'm going to roll pretty aggressively. This one's really funny, by the way. I'm gonna post a clip because I was laughing so hard with the not this turn. I think the roll down next turn, and then not holding Bard is also really bad because I can switch to the Preserver variation, because Bastion right now I'm just playing Bastions, so it's like whatever. But Bastions don't really matter because I have the Randuins. It's like diminishing returns, right? If I already have like 100 armor, what is an extra 10 armor? That's like nothing, right? Instead, what you would rather have is, like, you know, some sort of other stats. Like, if I have 100 armor, I'll give my whole team passive healing. Anyways, on that roll down, we just hit Katarina 3. That's what I was saying. This happens a lot. This is the part where I really high rolled. I probably would have lost this fight if I didn't have Katarina 3. And I would probably lose a lot more of the current fights if I didn't have Katarina. Anyways, look at this. Oh, fucking cinema. Oh my god. Look at that charm buy. Oh, it was so funny. Oh, I bought the 4 cost. And I'm not buying Bard again. Like, I keep not buying Bard. Like, I should just hold on to Bards. Right? I'm holding on to this Nasus because I'm thinking I can switch to Nasus Briar. And then I can itemize Briar instead of this Hecarim. But, like, what am I doing? I just need to buy Bard. Like, I just buy Bard, I buy Rakan, I pivot, and I'm good. I'm good to go. It's like, what am I doing? But anyways, now we're actually stable. This is where you want to get. And this is the problem with Warriors. Sometimes you don't get here. I have Fiora 2, Gwen 2, Katarina 3. We're good to go. Obviously, I should have pivoted to Preservers because I think Preservers would be way better right now than playing 2 Bastion. Multi-Striker is useless, so like I just have it in for fun. I can clearly just play Preservers. I should be putting in Sugarcraft to stack up this Gwen. These are all mistakes. These are all mistakes by me. I understand. There's no way I can really excuse it. I think I was just too dialed in because, you know, from the start of this game, I thought this was going to be like a guaranteed 8th. It did not look very good. Like from opener to like mid game, I wasn't streaking. I was very poor. You know, I wasn't quite sure exactly how I was going to go down. I think at this point in the stream, I was talking more along the lines of playing around Arcana because I already have the Hecarim and I have the Hecarim upgraded. So I was kind of resolved to not making like a big pivot to Preservers and instead just like, you know, leveling, playing Tahm Kench, Xerath, Ahri, and just playing that variation where I just stack Vertical Arcana. That's what was my thought process at least. So, you know, criticize me as you will. My bad. Whoopsie daisy. You know. I don't have an excuse, right? I messed up, right? I think it would be way better to hold Bard, play around Rakan Bard, and play that type of variation. Either way, though, it doesn't matter that much for these rounds. As you can see, I'm just going to clean wipe everybody. This is where Warriors is the strongest. When people aren't spending their gold. This guy's 50 gold, level 8. He's greeting for something. I don't even think he has Tahm Kench 2. He's like trying to play towards some like Giga win out situation or go 9 or do something crazy. These are the boards that you beat because you're gonna one shot everybody. If Fiora's gonna do her ult, she's gonna delete everybody in the line. They're all gonna fucking die. I have Katarina 3 and Gwen 2. I hit really hard. I high rolled the Katarina for sure, but like I said, if there's other people re-rolling in the lobby, like the Viger Vex player, they thin out the pool enough that when you're rolling on level 8, a lot of times you actually end up hitting your 3-star 3 cost on level 8. Also, am I crazy? Or does Katarina's outfit look like Morrigan from Darkstalkers? Like the Capcom character. I'm just noticing it now. Like her color scheme is totally like Morrigan, and she even has like the little fluffy shit around her. That's kind of cool, no? Or are we not fighting game players? I know I'm a fighting game player, but like, you know, maybe that's just me. My positioning also could use a little bit of work. I put Morello on what's her name? I put Morello on Nyla just because Nyla hits multiple units, so I'm assuming that it will spread a little bit. I know Katarina has a little bit of anti-heal, but I didn't really have shred components. I would like to make a Spark or a Shiv at one point because then I'll like be pretty well off. This is the guy that I think was greeting a little bit. He has a golden duplicator, and he's level 9 with a Morgana 2 and a fucking Xerath. This is really scary. So this guy I think for sure is going to beat my ass. Yeah. We win this fight, but he didn't upgrade the Xerath 2 for some reason. I don't know what he's greeting his duplicator for. It looks like he has a 2 Morganas 2s, and he's going for Morgana 3 for some reason. So I don't know what the fuck's going on in this lobby, because there's some people that are just fucking dead already, and then there's a guy that's going for Morgana 3. You know what I mean? Like what the fuck is going on? I don't know. This is one of those wacky ass games, and I'm not playing particularly well myself, so you know that's a separate issue. Here I'm debating if I put in Arcana or not. Arcana is actually really good to get the durability on the Hecarim. Hecarim, even if it's 1 Arcana, 2 Arcana, The Hecarim just gives you some extra juice. He gives everybody some AD, and he gives everybody some durability, which is actually just very strong. So I'm down to just play 2 Arcana here, and just play towards this line. Like this. And this is kind of what I was leaning towards. That's why I wasn't buying the bards and all of the other stuff. The problem is, I think Gwen's doing most of the damage on my team. Right? If you look at my team, Gwen is like, you know, either the most damage or the second most damage a lot of the time. So that's why I should have gone for Preservers. Right? Usually when you're playing Arcana, it's because you're playing Fiora, Akali, Nyla. Right? So it makes sense to play Arcana. When you're playing Gwen, Katarina, it makes sense to play Preservers because you get free synergies with those units. Right? It's a little bit awkward, and that's why I was saying it's a mistake before. So hopefully, you know, when you play your games, the whole point of me VOD reviewing is not to just say, LOL, I'm the greatest player there is. This is how you, like, it's not clickbait, right? I know that I'm a master level player. I make mistakes all the time, and it's a matter of recognizing them when I finish and then deciding to do that. I don't think I'm playing around Nasus this game, so I'm down to just like grab another item here. There's no Shred, which sucks. Tank item would probably be good here. IE's also fine. IE's really good on Nyla. If I could probably switch these items to Nyla and get a little bit more damage off, right? But I only have 1 remover, so it's a little bit awkward to do that. Here I just leveled to 9. I'm rolling a little bit. I'm looking for like Morgana or Arcana units. I find a Nora. Nora's really good as a +1. Just like not for damage purposes, but just to like give some sort of survivability and extra damage to one of your units. This guy I definitely don't beat anymore. So this is what I was saying before. Your units are just gonna fucking die. This is fucking Varus at his finest. I'm pretty sure this Varus is just gonna delete everybody. Yeah, it's not even fucking close, right? This guy Spoils of War. This isn't the guy that was greeting though. Like there was another Varus player that I think died already, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe this is the guy. Who knows? There was a guy that I played earlier in the game, and I was like, he should just roll for Tom Kench. I don't know if it's the same guy, but either way, he hit everything now. He has 2-star 5 cost, level 9, Giga upgraded. I like after all that, right? After all this high roll and work, and like like we're talking about these mistakes and these nuances, and I'm winning rounds, I'm losing rounds. If you look at the rest of the roster, there's a good chance I go 4th this game. Right? Straight up. Like, I'm not even joking. It's not even like an exaggeration. It's like, look at these boards. This is 6 Scholar. I don't think I'm beating 6 Scholar, 5 Preserver, or whatever the fuck he is. I might lose this round too. Look at this Xerath. He's deleting my whole fucking team. Because now he has Xerath too. Right? And just like that, all our lead is gone. Now we're still gonna get a top 4 because there's another guy that was like very low HP, so they're gonna kill each other off and cannibalize each other, of course. But a couple mistakes in the mid game that we made, and a couple other mistakes, it's already not looking good for us. We can already get a 4th, right? This is why I don't like Warriors, right? We hit Katarina 3. We high rolled the fuck out of this game to hit Fiora 2, Gwen 2. To me, that's like not expected to hit that hard that fast, because we just like we took the 4 cost charm and we just hit both of them. So it was kind of insane. Here I'm trying to start to pivot. I say maybe Milio's better. This is a case where positioning matters a lot though in this fight in particular. You really want the Fiora to kill the Vigar and the Gwen to kill the Vigar. If we kill the Vigar early enough and the Soraka early enough, we actually have a good chance of beating this guy. But if we don't kill them both, then we run into the problem of losing. So this was good. Our positioning was good for this fight. It might not be good in a later fight, but that was very lucky because we're not really positioning much because I'm just too like concerned about like macro for some reason in this game. What do I take here? Just a Hodge. I'm not sure what to take. I can take Xerath and just play Vertical Arcana. I think my indecisiveness on whether or not to play Preservers or Arcana was a huge problem in this game as well, which is something I didn't really mention. Well, I mentioned it, but I didn't really like talk about how I was super indecisive while I was playing. But yeah, we can play Xerath. I don't think Milio does that much because everybody has items already. Milio's really good when you don't have a lot of items because it can itemize your other warriors and make them really, really strong. But in this case, it's not that big of a deal. And then I'm like flip-flopping between whether or not I play Arcane or if I play this shit. Yeah, just put on Nyla. That's fine. I need to roll for a charm here. Tremors, 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 tremors! What the fuck am I doing? Oh, fuck, that's stupid. Oh, I just threw. I didn't buy the charm. How did I not buy this charm? How am I not buying a charm? Oh, that's on me. Oh, God, I'm so stupid. Tremor's like the best charm you can hit, by the way. Also, you want to see something really fucked up? Watch this fight. I was bitching on stream. Watch this. Ready? What the fuck was that? Who is she ulting? I'm gonna replay the fight. Look at this shit. Like, Riot. Riot, hello? Look, the Xerath's over here. Look at this shit. Who did she what? Who was there? Like, Gwen fucking whiffed. Like, why does Gwen whiff so much? Anyways, that's fine. I'm playing it up for the memes. Hopefully it's not too annoying. But you know, if you're listening to my voice, I'm talking constantly. So, you know, if you don't like it, at that point, that's on you. Okay, so first of all, I should have bought Tremors. If I bought Tremors, I would have won that fight. Second of all, what the fuck was that, Gwen? Come on, pull up your socks. Like, open your eyes. He was like 2 feet to the left. Like, bro, like, come on, team. Pull your shit together. Anyways, I pivot to Preservers here. I hit Recon 2. So I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm down to play Preservers. If I won the last fight, or if I had a good charm the last fight, that's my placement. I don't think I beat the Scholar guy. He's just way too strong, has way too much damage. As you can see here, though, I don't kill the Soraka early enough, and my whole board kind of dies. Which is really unfortunate. It's also probably a charm diff, so I lose this fight, and I think I'm going to go third here. Now, of course, in a vacuum, when I was streaming, I'm like bitching. I'm like, God damn it, I went third because my Gwen whiffed, right? If my Gwen didn't whiff, I would have went second, right? So it's like, damn it, I just lost a placement because of the game not working properly. However, I hope that I illustrated that I'm a fucking idiot. It's all my fault because I didn't play properly. So, you know, obviously, like, you know, at some points, like, you know, when you're streaming, these things get missed. So, you know, in hindsight, it's a third. This should have been a second. It should have always been a second. It could have even been a first, right? If I positioned better against the Viger Vex, it might have actually been a first. That's a huge LP swing. So that's entirely my fault that I misplayed the end game very, very poorly. But like I said, it is very scary when you're playing Warriors. I hit really hard this game. There's a lot of times where you're stuck without Gwen 2, Fiora 2 for a lot longer, just because you're not expected to hit these 4 costs right away unless you're really, really rich. And it's a very expensive board because you're playing around a lot of 4 costs. Obviously, that's a huge mistake on my part. I definitely messed up the last 2 rounds, which were probably the most important 2 rounds. Realistically, I think this comp doesn't normally beat Viger Vex. So there's a good chance that the Viger Vex player just outcapped me because they had Arcana. So there's a good chance I never beat the Viger player, and this was just a second anyways. But that being said, I should have definitely bought the charm the other round. Even if Gwen whiffed, it wouldn't have mattered. If I had Tremors, I would have won that fight. So not buying a charm that round, that was a huge charm dip, and that's why I went third. Now, besides all of that, hopefully you still have a rough idea of how to play Warriors, and maybe you can have a little bit of a better game in terms of, like, you know, take what I said, take what I did, and improve upon it. The mistakes that I said that I made, make sure that you don't make those mistakes, and then all of a sudden you'll be going first in your lobbies. And that's the whole point of when I do these VOD reviews. You know, a lot of times my games aren't going to be perfect, but I'll be the first one to say that I was the one that fucked up and it's my fault, right? Anyways, thank you all for watching. Hopefully that was enjoyable. Hopefully it was fun. I think there was a lot of funny moments or quirky moments in that video, and it's something that's a little bit different. You know, instead of seeing like Viger Callista, which you'll probably see tomorrow on the day after, I got to play something that was a little bit more niche, and it just worked out that I high rolled into a really good setup. If you don't have Katarina 3, Gwen 2, Fiora 2, a lot of times this is at best a 4th. And often you can end up going 5th in lobbies like this, just because like it's really difficult, especially in your mid game. Me winning a lot of fights because a lot of people were greeting to go 9. was a lot of how I got a lot of my placements. So I do want you guys to be very cautious. Don't just start trying to like abuse warriors to play warriors every game. It is a sometimes food, not an always food. Anyways, thank you for watching. Hopefully you have a great day. See ya.